Good morning, everyone. My name is Kara Sherpa, and I was an SOS participant for 8 years. And this summer, I'm happy to be interning at SOS Outreach as their alumni relations intern. We're thrilled to be here with Alfredo Velasco, the technical lead at Lowe's Home Improvement. Alfredo is also the very first alumni of the SOS programs we are interviewing. Thank you for being with us today. And can you please tell us about yourself and how you're involved with SOS?
Sure. My name is Alfredo. I started SOS when I was in 8th grade, so that was about 15 years ago. And I got involved because I wanted to snowboard, and it was pretty expensive and hard to access it. So when one of our teachers from school, at Minter Middle School, she brought up an organization and some forms that we could take home and see if we could get them signed and go snowboarding for a couple of days. So that's how I got involved in that. And then after that, I joined the ski and snowboard club in Vail. And from that, I made some connections with people that are on the board of SOS today. And that allowed me to stay in touch with people and Seth, and now I'm part of the board as well. So that's how I'm involved with SOS.
Thank you. The first question I have is, how did you navigate high school and the uncertainty of what to do after?
Yeah, so a lot of kids are having a hard time trying to figure out, because I feel like there's so many options now.
Yeah.
When I was going through it, it felt like it was college, and that's all you did. Like, that's for sure what you were doing. At least in my environment, from the people I met and my parents, they just wanted me to go to college. So I didn't really have much of a choice, and I felt like it was a natural thing for me.
And in line with that question, I also was wondering, why did you decide to go to Dartmouth for undergrad? And is there a specific reason that you chose to go out of state versus in state?
Yeah, so when I was applying to college, there was an option to go to CU. Another option was University of Mexico, and finally there was Dartmouth. Andy Littman, who I mentioned before, he helped me a lot in this whole navigating college. My parents have never gone, so he really helped me out a lot to see the different options. He suggested that I went out to take a look at colleges out east, like Boston College, Boston University, things like that. And I was able to go. He helped me with plane tickets and things like that. So when I went to Dartmouth, I did an overnight student stay, and it was actually like one of the cooler experiences I've had, just with strangers. People were super welcoming and really excited to be there. So that meant a lot. And so when I was applying and I had those options, Dartmouth was a really good option, especially because they provided a lot of financial aid. It's a really expensive place to go, and they know that. And my parents, they didn't have a lot, so we were able to get a lot of help there after getting accepted.
Thank you. And then also in line with that question another question I have is, what factors led you to decide to choose engineering as your major?
Yeah, so when I was an undergrad, I thought I wanted to do pre-med and then music, and then finally I just wanted to do engineering. But the software came in my first year when I took this one class, and I feel like a lot of people have a similar story. It was like that one class, but this class was really cool. It was an intro to software development in Java, and just the way that the professor taught it and brought up all the concepts, like just seeing how much you can do so quickly with code, building these complex systems that can do a lot of things. It was pretty exciting. So I kind of just stuck with that.
How did you transition from your undergrad state straight into a master's program?
Yeah, so when I was in college, I did a thesis, and so I was able to do a bunch of research, and it felt like grad school was a natural progression to that. A lot of other kids doing research ended up doing something similar, and I have a good amount of friends that just went straight into grad school after college. Um, it was also part of me not feeling ready to get a job in college. It feels like you're taking all these classes, but none of them teach you how to write a resume or how to manage your money or how to get a job, how to interview, all those things. And so I feel like internships are really valuable, like trying to get one in college when going to job fairs and doing recruiting can be really, really helpful just to have more options. But for me, I didn't really do any of that stuff. So grad school was easy.
Did you just apply straight through and then you didn't have like that uncertainty of like some of your friends going into the workforce and you having to think, what if? Because I just graduated also, and I most of my friends are going into grad school, but I had some reservations about going, especially if I didn't know that I wanted to be in the field that I studied for when I was in undergrad, because it was kind of just liberal arts. So it wasn't very specific. But it seems like in your case, your undergrad degree was very specific.
Yeah, that really helped because I was able to treat it like a job since a lot of graduate programs in STEM are fully funded. It can feel like a job since since you don't have to look for funding or have other sources of income or loans. You can be funded and continue your education and do all that. Uh, but I do know that that's pretty rare for liberal arts programs. So
Yeah, very, very rare.
yeah,
Unless you go ahead and get your doctorate. So, the next question I have is, what tools in life do you use every day to ensure success?
yeah. So um, I think that it's easy to get caught up in like I don't know, in smaller problems that cannot be that aren't really that big. So I think keeping your eye on the big picture helps a
Hmm.
lot. Like, what are you doing every day? Instead of getting frustrated with the daily thing, it's like, what are you doing this month, or what are you doing this year, or what are you trying to do in general? That helps a lot to stay focused and keep motivated in whatever you're doing. I think another thing is when you run into problems, um, just kind of breaking them down into smaller, more manageable problems. Like if you're trying to go back to grad school, um, you know, it can seem daunting, and or even just get a job, it can feel very like a big undertaking. But if you split it up into the pieces, like writing a resume, applying, reaching out to recruiters, interviewing, preparing for all those things, if you split it up, it can seem a lot more manageable. And you have time, you have weeks, you have months that you can use. And then the final one, I think I would say reading a lot can be a really good tool. If you're ready to read about anything, you can find pretty much how to do anything online, and you know, tutorials and videos, and just being willing to like do some research and Google stuff. is a really, really big tool.
Thank you for your insight. And then the final question I have today is, as the technical lead at Lowe's Home Improvement, what personal approaches have you applied as you lead the conversation about tackling diversity, equity, and inclusion in your industry?
Yeah, so I think that in a corporate environment, you get caught in a lot of kind of like side conversations and kind of trying to be agile, but at the same time, you end up being kind of like secretive. So I think that the biggest thing I've been doing is opening up the conversation and involving people that are relevant to it, like involving the whole team in decisions or demonstrations for things that we've all accomplished together, as opposed to, you know, like me or a product manager just kind of like doing a private demo for, you know, like a VP or a director, just kind of bringing the whole team in and being like, this is all of us, and this guy did that, and this guy did that, and this person did this. um, I think helps a lot with inclusion and just keeping people aware of, like, we all need each other, like we can't do everything ourselves.
Thank you. Do you guys have like a targeted plan of what you're trying to accomplish? Or,
At those,
yeah,
yeah, so
especially around the especially around the issues that we're facing right now, um, like including diversity and lack of it.
yeah, so at Lowe's, I mean, there's a couple things, there's a couple places that you can really think about diversity and inclusion. I think across the management level, Lowe's is pretty unique in that it's very diverse, right? Like our CEO, he's African American. He's very passionate about you know, funding small businesses and things like that. Like he did a $25 million grant to them, and I don't mean this to be a commercial or anything, but these are things that are happening, and it's actually kind of cool to be in that company, because, you know, our CIO, or Chief Information Technology, Chief Information Officer, she's from India. She's a woman in tech, which is pretty rare, at a high level, at a high position, and so it's really cool to see that. Very inspiring. And then within our team, you know, it's tough because across technology, across development, across software engineering, it's a very male, um, it's a very male field. Uh, so, you know, trying to get more girls coding, more women in tech is definitely something that I would love to see. But it's hard when, like, you know, I'm interviewing people too to hire, and all of them are guys, and I don't, and you know, that's part of uh, a couple of things. I mean, it's hard to get uh, women in tech today just because of how historically that's been the case. But then, uh, you know, the women that we do have, I definitely personally I try to reach out and make sure that they have everything they need, and you know, it can be like, for anybody, it can be like really intimidating and like hard to start, and like, you know, you have all these different uh, areas that you have to kind of like work on, different technologies and things like that. So making myself available for helping, has been something that I've been doing. Uh, I don't know what else I could say about that.
um, no, that's it. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your thoughtful remarks on what is happening. And I think that's going to be it.